I wanted to share a long ago memory of a special fly-in fishing trip my dad and I had together 40 years ago when I was just a boy. I also wanted to get back to this lake where it all happened. In 1984, we flew into a remote lake called Cranberry Lake and stayed for a week in a tiny 8x10 cabin with a tarp for a roof. What we discovered here was a lake untouched by the outside world, just wilderness stretching out in every direction. Each night we fell asleep on our bunks with the whining sound of millions of mosquitoes above our heads. The bass fishing was incredible, but it was the lake's beauty that stayed with me for all these years. I researched the area through old maps and found a way back in by canoe and foot, though it would not be easy. Luckily, my friend Keith said he'd go with me. At 5 a.m., the journey began. I started my trek from Curtis, Ontario, and Keith started his morning in Collingwood. We both left and met at the base of Head Lake. From there, we loaded the canoe and traveled toward the Head River. The river eventually led us into Fishog Lake, part of the Queen Elizabeth Wildlands Provincial Park. The morning started peacefully with a tailwind helping us along. But after turning toward our portage, the wind changed. Suddenly, we were fighting our way forward. Eventually, we reached the portage and began the hardest part of the journey. We packed our gear, marked our route, and headed into the forest. The trail tested us immediately. There were wrong turns, steep climbs, rocky sections, creek crossings, and deep mud. At one point, I sank into a muddy crossing and even had water enter into my hip waders. But we continued. Slowly, step by step, we made our way closer. Eventually, we reached the trail that would lead us towards Cranberry Lake. Soon, the journey had taken its toll. Keith decided to rest while I continued the final stretch alone. I told him I would be back in an hour and a half. Then I walked into the forest. And after 40 years, I was there, Cranberry Lake. Standing on that shoreline again was something I will never forget. I looked across the water towards where my dad and I had stayed all those years ago, and the view was almost exactly as I remembered. For a moment, it felt like time had stopped. I couldn't reach the exact location where we were and where we camped because it would have required another difficult journey through the wilderness, but it didn't matter. After holding on to that memory for 40 years, I was finally back. Soon after, I returned to Keith at the Digby Creek. I rested there with him and dangled my feet in the water, where we ate our lunch and enjoyed the atmosphere. The return journey was still difficult, but now we knew the way. Eventually, we reached the canoe, paddled back, and made it back to my vehicle around 7 p.m. The drive home was exhausting, but some journeys are worth every step. Cranberry Lake was never just a lake, it was a memory, and after 40 years, I finally had the chance to return.
I got it. I'll video you just in case you fall in. Go ahead. Just in case you fall in.